All right, guys. So I'm up here at Trexco HQ with the ladies behind me, our 8 chickens. And what a day. So, on top of just normal errands and administrative work, I had the fun of getting to put together or installing the Ruger 57 SBR into the Strike Industries 57 Ruger 57 chassis. So, I haven't shot this yet. Literally just got it put together. So, first impressions, pretty disappointed. So $500 ish, depending on if you catch them on a sale. I think I did take advantage of the veteran discount. So thank you, Strike Industries, for that. It knocked 25 bucks off. Um, Roughly 8-week lead time. I knew that going in. That wasn't a surprise. That's no fault of their own. These are made to order, evidently. So the interesting thing about it, you couldn't find, or you can't find, as of today anyway, anybody doing reviews of these other than from the manufacturer, SHOT Show, and range day at SHOT Show, stuff like that. But I didn't see a single person do a review. And of course, after I posted my initial thoughts, one of the guys out there was like, "Yeah, it sucks." Put it away. Haven't touched it since. Evidently, the chickens have an opinion too, by the way. So, biggest thing, first of all, packing. Okay, it wasn't that big a deal, but it's 500 bucks. It took 8 weeks. You stuffed it in a box with no padding, and then you put it in a padded envelope. Yeah, and you send it USPS. Got really lucky, in my opinion, especially the way they handle stuff up and around here, right? Second thing, the little accessory kit, no instructions. No instructions whatsoever. Now, the majority of the instructions are, do you know how to disassemble a Ruger 57? No, got to figure that out. Cool. All right, there are some things that you need to do that are a little bit different from the Ruger 57 to the Strike Industry chassis. I'll put that at a later time. I'm not going to go too in depth. But here's the biggest thing, the amount of fitting that I had to do with a Dremel. Biggest example, the rails here, nut and bolt. I had to take the Dremel with a sanding tool and grind down the nuts to fit in here. Otherwise, they just got stuck. They wouldn't go all the way in, so I could get the rail and the chassis to mate up. And kind of having a vertical foregrip on this is kind of an ideal thing. We'll see, right? So, yeah, not a lot of stuff wanted to line up. Had to do a lot of fit and finish. If this was $100 thing, all right, yeah, I guess it goes to the territory. $500 freaking dollars. I should not be having to sand down nuts and bolts to get these things to line up, or because the 3D printing holes are not made to spec or whatever. That was really disappointing. So a little bit of frustration. No instructions. Yeah, okay, I got it. We'll find out, but function check just fine. But yeah, the big things I see about this, so the material is pretty sturdy. It is incredibly lightweight. When I was working on it, you can see here. So, you know, you do this to a normal Glock, you're going to see some sort of flex, but there is a flex there in the material. I don't care about the trigger guard. What I am concerned about, it's the same problem that every chassis has had, is that when you do a pistol chassis, the moment you take the optic off of the slide, which is now encapsulated in this chassis, people like to complain about the wobble between an upper and a lower on an AR-15. It doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you have the biggest rattle trap in the world, because as long as the barrel and the optic are slaved together, you're good to go. So the gun rattles a little bit. If you want to be tactical, sorry, you're not a ninja. The issue with these chassis are, and I'm now a little bit worried because this top cover, albeit the vertical foregrip area in the front is actually the part of the chassis where the internals of the Ruger 57 go into it. So that should be pretty stable. So any flexing on that shouldn't affect the upper part too much. We'll find out. But the only thing that's holding on this upper portion with the rail for the optics and the iron sights, if that's the way you want to jam, is these two kind of takedown pins, and then it just slides in to the rear here. Now, there's not a lot of flex, but there's some give here. And so the big thing that I'm going to need to find out is this a range toy, or does it actually have viability? Now, of course, we can argue about 5.7, real world use, whatever, that's fine. But the big difference to me is range toy, you're going out and shooting steel, and you got a really safe backstop when you miss. Any type of serious use gun, you need to zero that gun, and it needs to shoot with the ammo that you zeroed, as long as you do your job exactly where you need it to be. The problem that I've had with these chassis is a lot of times by flexing a foregrip and the master firing grip, you can separate the actual barrel from the optic. And so whatever you thought was zeroed, or maybe you couldn't even get it zeroed, you're wondering why you just couldn't shoot that day. It very well because you were sandbagged or supported, and you're actually flexing every single shot differently. And so you're trying to make adjustments and you're not having any luck. The problem that I've had in every pistol chassis like this is because the optic and the barrel or the slide is separate, that you get some deviation. Now the question will be, it seems pretty solid. We'll have to see what kind of deviation you get, and that's going to really dictate whether or not this becomes a range toy, and I ain't got time for range toys. I just got rid of 95% of all my blasters. Or is it a PDW that has some viability? We'll find out. I bought it a long time ago, already did the paperwork on the Ruger, so we're going to put it through its paces, and I want to give Strike Industries the benefit of the doubt. But as of right now, someone's sneaking up on me. Good thing I have a PDW. The thing that I need to figure out right now is how does this compare to my SBR Glock 17, which is an Recover 2020 chassis, which has a ATI'd slide with an SRO hard mounted to the slide, got a foregrip. It does have flex, but it doesn't matter because the red dot is mounted to that slide. So that's going to be the big thing to see if this is serious use. Thank you for putting up with 6 minutes, 15 seconds. This is the Strike Industries Ruger 5.7 chassis, day 2. We'll see how it goes when we actually get into live fire testing, and I will be making some changes, of course, getting some sights on there because I ain't about that no sight life. Thanks, everybody.